How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm okay.
Good?
How are you?
I'm hanging in there. So you may know me out there as Shane McCombs on the internet. You may know me as Capped Hammer, or you may know me as ILF Shane. And our co-host here is Mandy. Mandy, how do people know you?
I need adult. That's my professional handle. I'm not kidding. So that's
That's
me
your
on Twitter.
professional handle? I need
Yeah,
adult?
it was less professional before. I'm not gonna say less professional, but it was just very. It made me nauseous. Like it was just kind of cutesy, and I didn't like it. So I changed it to I need adult. When I
Uh-huh.
entered
Mandy's just
the.
being honest at this point.
It
It's
was
really what
when
it
I
is.
entered the infosec realm. I changed it to I need adult, and I was like, that's better, and and that's who I've been on the internet. So that's that story. So
Well, that works. All right. Samantha, hey, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Samantha. I'm the PIC coordinator at ILF, Predator Identification Team, and my handle I think now is the sudo fed. So it's sudo like Linux.
So SUDO.
Oh.
All right. So
Oh.
we got Sai. You want to say anything before you kick back into your mystery mode and disappear on us?
I am a mystery. I am the ghost in the shell. I am also your friendly, well-known voice host of the local gaming streams that have been happening for the past few weeks. You can find me by the name on your screen.
Perfect.
That's it.
And we are all here tonight because of Alex SkipGuru Price. Alex, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, again, I feel a little weird. I'm the only one without a handle, so I'm just plain Alex Price, but there is a nickname there, Skip Guru, so I guess that can be my handle too.
That's exactly what that is. That's perfect. You know, that's one of the things I had a hard time getting used to when I started getting involved in this industry was that everybody has like 5 names. And then so you never, you know one person in one area by one handle, and then you didn't realize you knew that person in another area and it was the same person. And so it can get confusing very, very fast. So,
Yeah, I'm too old to remember all that. I have a hard time just keeping Skip Guru in check.
well, I don't know. I don't know if I believe you on that one.
I use it for everything.
So let's talk about Skip Guru. Let's talk about what skip tracing is. Can you give us an identification? Just tell us, define that, because I don't know who in our audience knows what skip tracing is. Can you give us a little bit of info on that?
Skip tracing has been around probably since there was different human tribes, and they had to look for somebody that disappeared. In my realm, I find people that don't want to be found for a number of different reasons, depending upon the industry that I would work in or teach. But in most situations, it was locating somebody that had defaulted on some kind of contractual obligation, whether it's financial, legal, or finding someone that had to have some sort of legal document served on them. And it doesn't matter what industry that you're talking about, everybody skip traces. All these different industries just have a different end result in mind. Auto recovery is, looking to repo a car. Bounty hunters or law enforcement is to make an arrest. Collection agencies to collect a debt. And everybody at some point in time has probably skip traced. If you've ever tried to find somebody you went to school with or was in the service with or helped with your high school reunion or college reunion, that's skip tracing.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Somebody whose current whereabouts are unknown, and some are harder than others for obvious reasons.
So what is a skip?
A skip is actually somebody that has left their given location and they have skipped out. And usually it's referred to by people that have left or disappeared owing money. They've skipped out on a contractual obligation like a car note, or they were supposed to show up for court and they didn't. That's usually how the term is used. Originally, if you go back to my favorite era, which would be the Pinkertons, I consider them the fathers of today's skip tracing. Some of the things they invented, processes we're still doing today. They're the first people to ever mark money, because when they were chasing Butch Cassidy and the Hole in the Wall gang, it wasn't Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid until the 1969 movie with Redford and Newman. It was, Butch Cassidy and the Wild Bunch or the Hole in the Wall gang. They noticed that every time they would commit a robbery, money would show up in different towns. So they were the first to ever mark money, because they were, their job also was to protect the president. So they were the Secret Service before there was one. So when they started marking money and that money showed up in different towns, they would literally take a pin and put it in a map. And over time, all the pins led them to escape routes, and made the chase even hotter than what it was. And that led to Butch and Sundance leaving the country. And depending upon what part of history you want to believe or not believe, they were killed in South America, or that whole part was a falsehood and they both lived to a ripe old age here in good old America.
Okay, so now that you said that, I've got to ask, what do you think?
I think that they lived a long and fruitful life here in the States. The two most wanted men in America were killed in South America, but yet the Pinkertons who chased them for years, the railroads that by today's money put up millions of dollars to track them, not one living, breathing human soul from America traveled to South America to ID the bodies. And to this day, they can't show you a burial site. And the family, up until 1920, his sister would tell family and neighbors that she was heading to Nevada to see Butch. And there's been a bunch of documentaries on it. It's like the famed, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but Billy the Kid being killed by Pat Garrett, who was his friend. They used to ride together. And when Billy was buried, the casket was 3 feet shorter than Billy was. What'd they do? What'd they do? Fold him in half?
Wow, interesting. That sounds like a fun piece of history to go dig back into and check out.
Yeah, I'm a major history buff, a major reader, and I read very little fiction. My guilty pleasure for fiction is Brad Metzler, and he writes kind of historical fiction where there's just enough fact in it that he's done his research, but then he adds the element of fiction to it to make it a little bit more juicy and exciting. He's the only fiction writer I read, but I'll gobble up anything that has to do with the Pinkertons, Winston Churchill, and anything that Chris Hagnaghi writes.
Good plug. Good. What was that author's name? I want to look him up.
Brad Metzler.
Brad Metzler. All right.
I was about to say Chris Hadnaghy.
I think you
No,
mean Professor
I know
Nagy.
that guy, Professor Hadnaghy.
Professor Nagy.
I think it's Professor Nagy, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the guy that turned me on to Glenn Fittich, which my checkbook really thanks him for.
Oh, yeah, I'll bet it does. Well, hey, let's talk about that. So tell everybody, what are you drinking tonight? What's in your glass?
I have a very nice, I'll do my maitre d', a very nice scotch tonight.
Excellent.
Little 18-year-old. I like scotch most of the time. Scotch whiskey, I like Glenfiddich. However you pronounce Glen Morangi, I think it's how it's pronounced.
I always say it meringue, but I don't know if that's right either.
Words of some kind.
Del Mare, I really like. I would really like some Del Mare 2025, but I don't feel like spending $1,200 on the bottle. I stick with that Del Mare 12 or 15. And if I'm having a bourbon, I just had some this weekend, and it is a dangerous thing, and that's Screwball, which is has the peanut butter kind of flavor. That stuff's smoother than Crown, and it'll get you in trouble quick.
That will get you in trouble quick. Hey, by the way, did I just see a donation fly across the screen?
You did.
That you did.
Awesome. That is very cool. Thank you.
Look at our new spiffy donation bar that it's actually incrementing.
Would you look at that?
Hey, my wife donated.
Yes.
Thanks, hon.
She stole your wallet from the bourbon jar.
No kidding.
Well, thank you for the donation, whoever did that.
Oh, all right. So tonight I am drinking Blanton's. It's a bourbon from Kentucky, and it's single barrel, and they have become very hard to get, which drives me nuts because you used to be able to walk in anytime you wanted and grab it, and now you can't find it anywhere.
Does the nut keep the bottle together?
It does.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Have you heard of the bourbon trail kind of tours that they do? My wife found one, and they have one that they pick you up at the airport in a limo. You go to a bed and breakfast. You have private tours of the distillery with private tastings, and it's not that expensive. 4 days, and that includes your meal and the tastings and everything else for two is like $1,200 there in Lexington.
Yep.
This summer my wife and I might do it because it sounded pretty neat.
They are a lot of fun. Now, I've never done that, but I've been to many of the distilleries up there.
Yeah.
So it's something I thoroughly enjoy.
The middle of nowhere. So if you're gonna go out to Lexington, you should spend the day in Lexington if you can too, because it's a cute little community.
It sounds fun.
Yeah. I went to school out there in Lexington. So go Cats.
It is gorgeous out there. And yes, go Cats, by the way. I didn't know that about you, Mandy.
Yeah, went to UK. Go Cats.
All right. So Mandy, what do you have in your glass tonight?
Water.
Water? That's what I had on my last one. Samantha, you doing water too?
Oh yeah, water for him.
Awesome. Very good. Show me that glass you got, Samantha.
Yes, it's in this beautiful new Legend cup.
Oh, girl.
Ooh,
Nice.
I know.
Nice.
I'm so happy.
That's a nice glass.
It is beautiful.
And there's the other ILF Legends glass that you can get. So awesome. All right. How did you come up with your name, SkipGuru? Is there a story behind that?
There can't be.
Yeah, probably not a real interesting one, but I didn't come up with it. I've done keynote speakings for years and years. And there was a company that has since been purchased. It's not around anymore, but there was a company called AutoStar, and they were a CRM for the auto industry. And they had a users conference every year. And there's a gentleman who became a very dear friend of mine. His name is Antonio Rajan, and he's a British gentleman. And he ran the company and ran their users conference every year. And when he introduced me, he said that, at every user conference, he likes to bring the best speakers in. And this year, we have Alex SkipGuru Price. And, over there, I guess guru is a very common phrase. And it was several years later that I started a blog, and I was trying to think of a name to call it. And my wife said, well, why don't you use what Antonio refers you to? And I said, SkipGuru. And she said, yeah. I said, okay. And it stuck. The funny thing is now I get emails and text messages and LinkedIn messages, etc., all the time where people call me Skip instead of Alex.
So it really stuck hard.
It stuck hard, yeah. It left a mark. So that's where it came.
Do you answer? Do you answer to Skip?
I'll answer anything except late for dinner.
I'm at the point to where I'll just settle for like a hey you, and I'm like, yeah, that's close.
That's me. And that's usually if you ever see me at an event, because I've gone to thousands of trade shows and spoken at hundreds of them. This whole podcast world is kind of new to me. It just popped up in 2020 where I started getting invites to do them. But if you ever see me at a live event and someone walks up and starts talking to me and I say, hey, you, or hey, dude, means I can't remember their name from Adam, so I got to say something.
We all run into that. We all do. And I don't know about these two youngsters here, but the older I get, the harder it gets.
I'm sorry, how old do you think I am?
Hey, I don't need any talk back from the youngins in the audience here.
Well,
I'm a shadow. I'm not a youngin.
I've been doing this for 36 years now, so I've met so many people over the years, and people walk up to me and, Alex, remember that time at such and such? We went to dinner here, and it's like, hey, dude, how you doing? Yeah. And then they have to talk for a while, and then all of a sudden it'll register.
Yeah, it all starts clicking. So I'm usually pretty good with faces, but I have an incredible challenge with names. And so, I'll recognize you and I'll know you and I'll remember what we did or our last conversation, but man, that name just doesn't want to track. So
yeah, I can remember.
I'm sorry, I would like to interrupt.
Yes, you
because
go right ahead.
We just got a donation for $1,545.
Holy cow.
Thank you, Anonymous.
Nice languages,
wow.
please, Shane.
Anonymous.
Thank you very much,
Anonymous.
With all of your masks included, I assume.
Man.
Well, let me say, whoever that is, bless you, because there's not a more worthy cause than the ILF.
Well, thank you, man. That's really nice to say. Why don't you just segued right into that? Tell us what is it about the mission of the ILF that appeals to you personally? We ask this question all the time, and we get different answers. And I'm just curious. Just tell me what about our mission is it really resonates.
I met you guys down at the Human Hacking Conference, and had kind of a brief conversation, and just thought, wow, that's a pretty cool organization and what they do. And over time, it's always popped back into my head. I've been married for over 36 years, be 37 years in May.
Congratulations.
My wife and I have two great kids. Our son is 28, our daughter's 23. She's just went back to college. She graduated this year, but she went back for her master's. Mm-hmm. So being a father of two, and neither one of my kids ever being a victim of any crime whatsoever, I can't imagine the pain that the people go through, that the ILF, and just the torture that those families go to. And since I've been so blessed of never experiencing in my family any type of violent crime, it was something that just really pulled on my heartstrings. And it was something that I knew that I wanted to be a part of in any way that I could to help the mission. And we had a couple conversations and figured out where I could insert myself and bring my every resource I have to help y'all with the funding, because it's amazing that each case cost about $10,000 or more to do, and it's totally nonprofit. So that was something that I knew I just had to get involved with, and it also appealed to the investigator or skip tracer in me, because a lot of times you might be looking for someone you don't know their name, and you've got to dig to find out past the handle who they really are to go out and try to arrest or charge the individual, rescue the kid, so forth. So I think that's what it is. Anything at this stage of my life that I can do to help families with kids, I'm all in.
That is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Which I will segue into something real quick.
Okay.
I want to mention this probably a couple times so it sinks in with everybody listening. I was asked a few years ago to write the first and only skip tracing certification program, and it's in its third edition right now. It is published, it's accredited, and it's available at riskus.com. And for the next 60, 90, 120 days, I'm not going to really put a big time on it. All the proceeds from the sale of the skip tracing certification program are going to go back straight to the ILF. So if you're interested in skip tracing, order the book. If you've already bought one, for my friends that are watching, buy another one. If you have no interest in skip tracing, buy
Do it
one
anyway.
because it may save a kid.
Buy it anyway. That's
When in
awesome.
doubt, buy the book.
Exactly.
I dropped
Oh.
the link in chat, so everybody should have access to the link now.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that, Mandy. That is
Gotcha.
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
and Alex, that's a tremendous thing. That's your livelihood.
Yeah.
And you're turning around and you're donating that, and that is just, that's thank you. When you called, we started talking about that. I was just like, that touches me. That is so incredible. So thank you.
Well, and the team at Risk is amazing too, because they get a percentage because they're the ones that got it accredited. They're the ones that publish, and they're the ones that do the testing and so forth. So that they thought enough about this project that I do, they pitched in their interest in it also. So it's 100% of the proceeds, not just my portion.
I did not realize that. And I probably should have, but I did not realize that till just now, till you said that. Thank you for clarifying that. And we're definitely going to have to reach out to those guys. That's crazy. Thank you so much.
That's really cool.
No problem.
Yeah. We will pitch that back out there a couple times. We'll also continue to put it in the link for everyone. So,
Nice.
Tell me about, what's the most unlikely person you've had take your training class? Has there been anyone that has showed up to a class and you thought, I have no idea why they might be here, but they did that?
Maybe a couple reporters.
Okay.
Journalists a lot of times have to find sources or find out who a source is, I guess. I don't know, but I've never dealt with the public.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've always dealt with, lien holders such as a bank, a finance company, a credit union, law enforcement, so forth. So since it's not open to the public, I haven't really had too many circumstances like that to where I
Okay.
was like, okay, why is this single mom in here?
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Tell us about a story. What is the scariest position you've ever been in? Because I'm assuming, so you mentioned a whole series of things at the beginning, and that was, maybe repossessing cars or going after someone who's just late on a loan, or what what can you share with us as far as a story goes?
I can share the stories just for legal purposes. I have to change the names,
Oh yes.
We understand that. Yes, that's no problem.
but I can tell you how I got into the industry. I am a culmination of the mentors that I've had in my life, going back to one of my first bosses ever, a gentleman named Glenn Curlin, who said, "Hey, I want you to take over the skip charge off division." To I worked at a finance company and I spoke at a trade show. There were four men. Harvey Altez, who's probably the godfather of the repossession industry, Rusty Ansell, Millard Land, and a guy named Ron Brown, who's another skip tracer. I was speaking at their conference, and that night at Embassy Suites, they told me I was too good to be working for somebody else. I should open my own operation. And those guys backed me financially, spiritually, mentally, for the next 12 months to get the business off the ground. And that's how this all started. And before I tell you a story, it's funny. I never thought at 58 years old I'd have another group of mentors, but I had heard about the Human Hacking Conference, and I'd been reading Chris's books for a number of years. And this whole OSNet world's kind of new to me. I know data like the back of my hand, but the OSNet world was new. And I saw where one of the best OSNet guys out there, Nick, was teaching an OSNet class. So I had to go. I never knew that conference would be a life-changing experience, because from that conference, I have several good friends of mine, people like Robin Dreek or Chase Hughes, Scott Rouse. Then at 58, I have a whole new group of mentors. And Chris, their kindness, their ability to just share is quite humbling. And to see the stuff that they're doing with COVID and how they've transitioned, like myself, from traveling. Prior to COVID, I would travel over 200 days a year, coast to coast,
Oof.
border to border, teaching just
Wow.
like them. And all of a sudden it came to a screeching halt. And I maybe left my house a dozen times since March of last year. So I had to say that to get to the story. When I first started in the industry, I was a bodybuilder. I know there's nothing about me that says the word body or builder, but trust me, I was one. I've been in martial arts since I was 4. I was in the Army, so I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. The only reason I went to work at the bank, because my dad told me I had to get civilized. I was a bodybuilder beach bum, would still be one if it wasn't for my wife. So I was working a skip. Guy's name was John Johnson.
Sounds good.
And
Good name.
thank you. I was going to say Don Johnson, one of my favorite characters, but anyway, John Johnson. And I found out that he had a big love for horse racing, and not normal horse racing like the Kentucky Derby. He was real big into the carriage style racing, little buggies behind the horse.
Oh
And
yeah.
in South Florida, there was only one place that did that, and it was called Flagler Racetrack. So for several weeks, I would go by there because everything was done in the field. We didn't have a computer at the bank. I remember getting my first beeper and thinking I was James Bond, and literally thought I was Sonny Crockett from Miami Vice with my first cell phone. Got it at Costco, and it came with a bag you wore over your shoulder that weighed about
I
25
remember
pounds.
those.
The Gordon Gecko phones, they were about 2 foot long.
Yep. Yep.
So I checked Flagler Racetrack every day, and one particular day, I saw the car. And there was 5 or 6 guys standing around it. And I just walked up to the car. You know, since I worked for the bank, I had the keys, and they asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm from the bank. I showed them the paperwork on my clipboard. I said, I'm taking the car. They said, you can't have the car. That's Pinky's car. I said, no, that's the bank's car. I'm taking it. You can't have it. And they were standing in my way. And I'm like, look, guys, I'm leaving with the car one way or the other. You know, this can be handled nicely, or we can throw down. I don't really care. You know, you tell me.
Throw down, throw down.
And a couple seconds after that happened, a giant Cadillac, if you remember the caddies from the 80s that were land yachts, they were solid steel. And out of the back seat, it was like a Cheech and Chong movie when the back door opened up, smoke billowed out, and this little bitty guy gets out, and he starts asking me, and he tells me I can't take the car. That's Pinky's car. And on the passenger side, the door opened, and this lady got out of the car. She got out of the car, and she got out of the car, and she got out of the car. Single biggest human being I've ever seen. That was Pinky. And all I did was I put my hand out to his shoulder to move him to the side. And when I did, like doggone a fast gun draw, put a little MAC-10 machine gun pistol on my forehead and said, I told you, you can't have the car.
Oh.
And I did the only thing I could do. I said, you know what, sir, you're right. And I tossed him the keys that I had and turned around and left. And all of that was over a Toyota Tercel, which was probably a $500 go-kart. And I think that car was, nobody ever worked that account ever again because of it. And I also had these 2 gentlemen that, if you know Miami, there's an area in Miami called Brickell Avenue, which is where all these $1 million homes were. And there were 2 guys.
Yes, my summer home.
About every 90 days, I'd have to go to their house, and they had guards with machine guns, and I knew who they were and what they were. But about every 90 days, they'd show up, and I'd ring their doorbell or honk the horn and make all kinds of noise, and they'd let me in, and they really liked me. They'd slap me on the chest and say, you've got courage. They didn't say courage, they said something else, but I like you. And they'd make me come inside and eat with them, and they'd peel off $100 bills, bring the account up to date, and then they'd go back to Columbia, and 90 days later, I'd have to do it all over again. And one particular night, my wife and I are watching the news, and the Cocaine Cowboys, as they were not known, had a daytime live shootout with FBI agents in the street in Miami. And when they popped up on the screen, 2 of the guys that were killed, I'm like, that's such and such, and that's such and such. I go to their house every 90 days, Paige. These 2 guys were a member of the Cocaine Cowboys. They could have fed me to the alligator. So I've always been just brave and stupid enough to get by with stuff, but an angel and blessed enough to where I survived it.
How many people can say, like, I was friends with the Cocaine Cowboys? Like,
yeah, there was a People magazine.
Sad to say, I can say that.
People magazine did a whole show. There was a cult called the Yahweh Ben Yahwehs down in Miami, and they dressed in big long robes and walked around with staffs and so forth. And I didn't know how mean they were. And I repoed their car one night, one of their people's cars, and they chased me all through the streets with staffs, and I had to go hide overnight at the National Guard Armory with the car just to get the heck out of Miami alive.
It wasn't a
big deal,
Corolla,
just-
was it?
No, that one was an MR2 that I actually had to put my arm out the window and hold it because my shoulders were too wide to fit in it and shut the door.
See, a Corolla would have been worth it though. It still would have been running.
Well,
Like-
the MR2 was the Toyota's version of a sports car, like a
Okay,
Porsche or
right.
something, kind of like the Toyota Supra back then.
And you didn't fit in the car?
I couldn't shut the door because my shoulders were too wide.
Dude, I got
Yes.
this image of you hanging out of a car with people in robes with staffs running down the street chasing you. Is that
Get
the
him.
They were chasing, but they weren't close enough to hit the car, me with the staff.
They're just
And-
getting
and-
your arm, like get
The,
him.
the funnest to work were, the gypsies of the day and fraud accounts. And I think my favorite fraud I ever worked, the guy's first name and last name was the same. It was like Bob. And it was down in Clearwater, Florida, and the guy had the coolest scam, and he had pictures of him with every star you could think of. And this was before Photoshop. So how he did it, I'll never know, but he was running a child modeling firm and scamming people out of thousands of dollars that he was going to make their, kid a star. And he actually conned the mayor of a particular town down there into investing in a leather store. And he had a $40,000 Mitsubishi that he had financed. And he took the $50,000 worth of leather goods and the Mitsubishi 3000 to Mexico, had a custom crate built and shipped it back to Greece. And this guy he knew I was hunting him. He would send me postcards from Greece laying on the hood of the car like one of the motorcycle models of the era, the motorcycle magazines, and say, "Wish you were here." So and they don't recognize our titles. So you would pay the police of that particular village. They'd go get the car, but if he could pay them more, you lost what you paid them and he kept the car. So I had some guys out of Germany, got into Greece, got the car away from him. Let's just say detained him long enough to where they could get it on a boat and get it in international waters before the Greece authorities showed up. But I've done bounty hunting.
Oh,
I've worked, the coolest thing I ever did was trying to find a traveling circus and foreclose on their 2 tigers.
how do you lose a circus?
Didn't lose the circus. It was a traveling circus and they had borrowed money on 2 of their tigers.
Oh,
So they foreclosed.
So you
on
had
the
to go
tigers.
repo some tigers?
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
my
have
question.
to.
So you were trying
Did
to
this
get
have to do with the Tiger King at all?
No Tiger King here. But
Oh,
I
you
would like
sure?
to have been the guy in the field that had to, figure out a way to get those tigers away from the traveling zoo.
So we were trying to get the tigers back, but it was for money reasons, not because they had tigers.
Right.
Right.
Both, a little bit of both.
Little
I
column
have
A,
a lot
little
of
column
questions,
B.
but that's fine. That's cool.
It's been an interesting career. I've worked celebrities, athletes, musicians.
you
Big
got a gold mine in a tell-all book, brother. Let me tell you.
Well, I have OCD. I'm tore up with it from the floor up, and I journal every conversation I have on a telephone, in person, and it's a hobby of mine. When I go to trade shows, I people watch and I see who leaves for dinner together and who's talking to each other in the hall, and then I try to figure out what they were saying, and I can guess, okay, these two guys are going to merge or stuff like that. So yeah, I've got 36 years worth of journals of conversations. Skip Tracer might be the title of what I do, but I've been more of a keeper of secrets and concierge of information for this industry than maybe anything else.
Wow, man. So have you, so speaking of that, so speaking of watching people, have you had a chance to run across any of Joe Navarro's books? Because they're almost like bird watching for humans, right? So
humans?
yeah, it's like instead of being a bird watcher, you're a human watcher, and you see what they do and how they behave. And
Which came
It's just
first,
called
the
people
bird
watching,
watcher
Shane.
or the human watcher?
Bird watching humans.
yeah,
Shane's like at the train station, like putting out.
What else do you
Studying
do at a
on
train
people-
station, Mandy?
People bird
No,
watching.
but I'm like him, like passing out chips. Like they'll come to me.
I
No,
entirely
can I-
see Shane showing up at a train
can I
station with
just
a box
tossing
of chips.
to like Chase and
And
I
you
can
know what's
identify. He has a little notebook, and he's like,
Oh.
"Saw a human today."
Alex,
The
shit I
saddest
deal with
part-
all day. You see what I got to deal with
The
here.
saddest part
But
is that
Shane,
people
birds
should
aren't
not
real.
take
Oh.
snacks from strangers, but I 100% believe that people would take snacks from Shane in a train station with no context.
Okay, let me start over. Good Lord, people.
That's not going to save you now, Shane.
Yeah, I know. You know how
Let me
bird
just
watchers will
fart
pull up a
again.
book and they'll be watching and they'll be trying to identify. Joe has a book like that where you can sit and you can watch people and you can see their behavior, and then it will
Yeah.
help you identify their
That's
thought
a
And
human.
process.
figure out
It
which type
is-
of chips they like.
Figure out
Oh,
a
that's human.
checklist for
That's-
studying
All right, I'm done.
nonverbal
I'm done.
communication.
You guys, I'm done with you.
Bird comes up, and you're like, "No, that's not a human."
That one doesn't like Doritos. It can't be a human.
Shane, they're not letting this one go, buddy. They're being
We never
unmerciful
do.
on you.
You know,
I
You know
can
what would
say
get the
that.
most people,
All right,
Shane?
I'm done.
Pineapple pizza.
I'm
That's
done
what
this
would get
time.
the most people.
I'm done.
pineapple pizza would, that would be
Just
the best
walk
thing.
around with pineapple pizza and a picture of Christopher Hagnaggy, and you would get so many people asking you questions, chatting you up.
Pastor
Eating
had
pizza.
Maggie pizza.
Can we get a pizza that has his face made out of pineapples on it?
Yeah,
Oh.
Joe's books are
Someone
really good.
that's like really artistic and could singe the edges of it.
But yes, the books are very good.
How in the world did we go from the master Joe Navarro to pineapple pizza with
We
Chris's
always
face
get
on it?
there.
I got lost on
Someone
Welcome to my
referred
life.
him as a bird watcher.
We
got
always
lost
get
along
there
the
when
way.
we need to get there, Alex. We always find the path.
I was
That's
lost
debatable,
on the path.
like-
I got lost on the path.
And that's how we got here.
Yeah, to answer your question, I've got every book that Joe Obi-Wan Kenobi Navarro's ever written.
Yeah.
If he wrote the telephone book, I'd read it. And I've seen him at different events for many years. And one particular time he was at an event and I walked up to him and told him, for the most part with what I do, I find people, but I'm behind the scenes in front of a computer and the phone. I don't work in the field anymore. So I'm listening for verbal tells, pitch, tone, cadence, so forth. And he turned me on to one of his counterparts, Jack Schaefer, that's his expertise, is picking up on those cues and the right questions. So yeah, I've got all of his books. And Eric Hunley, a podcast that I did a couple months ago, he just had Schaefer on his podcast, which was a major coup because that cat doesn't appear anywhere. But yeah, Joe is an idol of mine. If the word's overused as far as legend, but Joe truly is one.
Yeah, he is clearly the leader in his field. I mean, I don't think there's any real question about that. So, and it was,
And he's an unbelievable speaker to keep your attention for hours on end. The only person I've ever seen that was a better speaker was Frank Abagnale.
Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me
Yeah.
If You Can. Yeah. The one of the guys I told you about, Rusty Ansel and Harvey Altez and Ron and them, they had Frank at a conference, and I got to meet him and they told him what I did. And he and I went across the street to a Denny's from the hotel. And I do believe it was San Antonio. I might be wrong. And all he did was take a newspaper of the day, and we sat there for 4 hours, and he taught me how to dissect a newspaper of how frauds can be committed just from info in the newspaper.
Dang.
That guy taught a 2.5 hour class in the dark with a PowerPoint, and not one beeper went off. Not one person got up and left the room. That's how amazing he was.
That's so cool.
But yeah, Joe's books, the book you were referring to was his dictionary, where if you see a face, and I've got it on my iPad, which I go nowhere without, but if you see somebody making a face, you can look up that particular expression and see what it could mean.
Yes.
But as the behavioral panel says, and the true crime workshop class that I'm in the middle of taking up, which is a killer class, there's no absolute. So someone, just because they're scratching their head doesn't mean they're lying. It could just because their head itches.
Yep.
But yeah, I love anything that Joe does.
Awesome. Yes. Having him at HHC last year I couldn't believe the lineup that they had last year. I was so thrilled and so excited and stoked. And so it's going to be virtual this year. And hopefully by 2022, we can get back to in person. But
Speaking
And
of,
I got to tell you,
if you haven't signed up for it yet, be sure to go to the Human Hacker Conference and immediately get your tickets. The early bird special has ended, but it's still going to be a pretty awesome conference, and you guys should all go sign up. All right, my interjection's done. Thank you.
no, you're good. Will you go ahead and post a link for that, by the way, for everybody? Thank you.
I can tell y'all last year was my first, well, it was the first conference, but I went last year, and I can honestly say it was, I don't know what I was expecting going to it, but what I do know is I wasn't expecting it to be a life-changing event. But day one, when Chris started the event off and he used his phrase that I have now stolen, and it's a quote at the bottom of every email I use, make them better for having met you. And becoming such dear friends with Dove Barron and Robin Dreek over the past year. All of that came from that event, and this year had all the makings of, I don't know how, but it was going to be even better. And last March, when I was at a meeting and I had my schedule completely booked for the rest of the year, and it got canceled. Every event that got canceled, in my head, I was like, okay, that's okay, no big deal. Still got the Human Hacking Conference to go to in March. Still got that to go to in March. And then when I got the word that was going virtual, I needed a scotch and a Xanax that day. I almost had a panic attack. I was so bummed out over that, because that was my focus, that COVID could do whatever it wanted, but I was going to be in Orlando, and me and Dove would talk about boxing and bodybuilding, and I'd lie to Robin, see if he could catch me. That's my whole focus, was I still had that to look forward to.
Dreams don't come true. And
so, but I will say this for all of you out there that may not be used to the virtual conference. If anybody on this planet will be able to set the bar for everybody else in the country, no matter what the industry is, on a virtual conference exceeding all expectations and having tremendous value, it will be Chris.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be in Robin Dreek's class, Mark Bowman's class, and there was one other one that I'm in. Paul's class. greatest con man on the planet and great magician. So
R. Paul Wilson.
yeah, I'm looking very, very forward to those classes.
I sat in on his class last year and he blew me away. I could not believe the things my eyes thought they were seeing. It was unreal.
I was the same way. You could only pick two, which was real hard to do.
Yes, it was.
And I had been talking for months with Ian Rowland on how to apply some of the mind reading tactics to investigations.
Yes.
So I went to Ian's class and was blown away by the same thing. I've never been to a mind reader or tarot reader, but the way he laid it out, and by the end of the class, I could do it and make somebody believe it, was amazing. I still tip my hat to Ian as not only a speaker, but just overall, just his teaching skills. You walked out of that with something that you could apply 2 seconds after you left the room. And he told you that's what was going to happen, and sure enough, and I've had some fun with it since then.
Awesome. That is awesome. You know, you made a very strong statement talking about Chris's class going virtual, not being disappointed, and I'm gonna back you up on that. And here's why I think that's the case. Because he teaches the APSE, Advanced Practical Social Engineering. And if there's ever a class that you think you must do this in person, that would be it, because that's literally what it is. It's all about the practical application of social engineering, being right in front of someone and taking that next step and doing those exercises. So when I heard he was going to do it virtual, he and I had some discussions about it, and he did it, and the feedback was ridiculous. And now I've talked to 2 or 3 other people that have gone and taken it virtually, and they have absolutely loved it. So I would think that if he could pull off that class in a virtual setting and do that and get those types of results back from it, I have full faith in what's going to happen with HHC this year.
That's very accurate.
Well, and I think when he makes the statement, make them better for having met you, I think he lives that.
He does.
He's such a workaholic. I don't think he's going to stop until that event is just as good virtually or better than it would have been in person. That's just who he is.
It is.
So I'm looking forward, especially Robin's class, and I know he's on the board of the ILF. I can't wait to see his.
Yeah, we love our board. I'm amazed that Chris was able to, and this is a testament to Chris. He was able to put together a board of directors with the quality of people that we have. I mean, so the very first person he brought in was our legal counsel, Tim, who is just phenomenal at what he does. And then he gets Neil Fallon from Clutch on board, the lead singer of the rock and roll band Clutch, who, by the way, is going to be in a bonus Fireside event for us tomorrow night. And Neil has turned out to be this incredible person who's able to reach out to an audience that we never anticipated for the Innocent Lives Foundation. And then also with AJ Cook, the actress, and then Robin, who used to be in charge of, and I always say it wrong, so I'm not even going to try, but he was involved with the FBI, and I always want to say behavioral analysis unit, and that's not right. Who can correct me? Somebody?
It actually is.
All I can think of is Hannibal
program,
Lecter.
wasn't it?
It's like that, but different.
It's same but different. I know it.
If I keep talking long enough, the page will load.
That's from
Hannibal 15 years of watching Criminal Minds in my head.
Hannibal
Which
Hannibal Criminal
I don't know.
Minds.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
when I
behavioral
found out
analysis
that,
program.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, it's
Oh,
not
that's so
BAU.
sad, team. We butchered that
BAP.
so horribly. Sorry, Robin.
We got there. We got
We
there in
did
the
get
end.
there. We
I
did.
guess
We always get
But
there
I-
on
eventually.
that one.
My point is, it's a credit to him. Chris attracts only top shelf people. And I've known him for 8 or 9 years, and I've sat back and I've watched that. And just to see the people who are at HHC, to see the people who have been on the board with the ILF, I mean, it's a testament to him. And I think that's kind of what you were getting at, Alex.
Yeah, and I completely nerded out when I found AJ Cook was on the board, because Criminal Minds was, I'm not big into television, but I've seen every episode of that. My
Every
Basset
episode?
hound is named Penelope Garcia. That's what a fan I am of the show.
Yes.
But
Okay.
that and
Have you seen
Black,
every episode? Like you watched to the very end.
yes,
Okay, where are the seasons
yes.
past 12? Where are they? Where did you find them? Did you watch them as they
This
came
whole
out?
stream is gone now.
I just need to
I
know
watched
if
them
it's
as
something.
they came out, but Netflix
Haha.
Netflix
just
stops at 12.
released,
Wait. They release
no,
more?
they just released 13, 14, and 15.
Mandy's
Hulu, I'm
leaving.
sorry,
Good night,
Hulu
all.
did.
Hey Shane, I'm gonna take a couple weeks off.
Yeah, Mandy, no.
Bye. We're
Shane,
Yeah,
both-
Hulu just released seasons 13, 14, and 15.
Dang. All right.
I worked at CBS before this, and I did not have access to Criminal Minds.
That.
I just want to
That-
say
yeah.
that.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Let's carry on.
My daughter Savannah, when she found out my recent involvement with the ILF, and I told her that AJ from the show was a board member, she's like, okay, you got to make friends with her so you can get her to get me Jason Gubular's autograph, however you say it. I said,
Yeah.
Savannah, the last thing that you're ever going to do in life is to ask somebody if they can get you somebody else's autograph. Have you lost your mind?
Sometimes I have people that are
Like
like,
the
can you
first
get
thing
me
I get
Neil's
asked.
autograph? And I'm like,
Yep.
who? Oh, like Neil? No. Why? Why would I do? Oh, he's a person that's like famous. No, still no. Sorry. That's weird. It's like,
Yeah.
that's weird. No.
But I love how the ILF does their different programs for people to get involved in. Again, I'll plug the certification program by RISC, RISCUS.com. All proceeds go to the ILF of sales of the book, but I love how you get people involved. So I'm going to challenge all my friends from the American Recovery Association, Allied, PBIS, to reach out to ILF and see how you can help them in any way with investigative skills, with donations, something. Everybody, if you just do one thing, that could save a kid's life.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really, the critical point. One of the things we try to drive home to people to build on that is when you see some of the statistics out there, they're so challenging and they're so hard, and a lot of people just like kind of get deflated and they want to give up, and we never want people to do that. We constantly talk about changing the world one child lives in. Imagine you're an 8 or a 9-year-old little girl or boy and you're being abused, and one day the person who's doing this to you is no longer in your life. Your entire world just changed. You've been given an opportunity you didn't have before. So literally every single time we're able to help someone, it counts. And that's really what we try to set our focus on.
Well, I have to say, I've had an amazing career. I know a ton of interesting people. I know all kinds of different celebrities, etc. And this week, when the honor was bestowed upon me to be an ambassador for the ILF, I think that was the single biggest highlight of my entire career. And I pledge my resources, every resource I have, to you guys in the coming year and past that.
That, sir, is quite the compliment. Thank you very, very much. We are so happy to have you on our side. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, it would have been cool to tip back a Glenfiddich together in Orlando, but
This is true.
Someday.
COVID stole yet another memory.
Well, you know what? That means that we're just going to make them next year, is what that means.
Hang on a second. COVID's stealing a lot, but you're here. And we don't know that we would have done this if there had been COVID necessarily.
Okay.
So
I
COVID
think
might have
true.
taken stuff, but COVID also gives.
Well, I'll tell you this, talking about that, traveling over 200 days a year, even with the unbelievable happy marriage that I have, I'd leave on Monday, come home on Thursday, leave on Monday, or leave on Tuesday, come home on Friday. And when I was home, I had just enough time to unpack and pack and sleep and go again. COVID made everybody slow down, and I've had probably the most quality time with my wife in 2020 and so far in 21 that I've had in a decade. And she built me this cool little outdoor kitchen that we refer to as Alex's Smokehouse outside. So I'm constantly using the flat top or the smoker, and we sit out there and have breakfast, on the weekend. So that's something that COVID did give, because it did make us slow down and realize what was important. And I know there's a lot of people out there that suffered tragedy. A dear, dear friend of mine and my wife's passed away from COVID 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
So I know there's a lot of tragedies with it, but that's a great point you made, that it did give a lot of us a few blessings here and there.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you to your point, you work with what you're given, you make the best of it, and you keep rolling. All right, Sai, you had to go and had to be the voice of reason for tonight.
Usually. I'm also the voice of chaos to balance it out.
Yeah, that's why it's confusing.
All right.
I didn't like it.
That is thus the force of the universe. Thus is me.
Like it.
I'm going back
Now,
to the
Mandy,
shadows.
he mentioned on the Shane mentioned that there's a rock star on the board. Rumor has it that you're a musician. What instruments do you play?
This was
Full
rude.
circle.
This was rude.
Aha.
This was extremely rude. I don't play any instruments. I've never heard of an
You're a
instrument.
liar, and I will list
Liar.
them all for you if you don't
Never.
start talking.
I've never heard
The
of an
body
instrument.
language.
What body? I don't have a body.
Your
The body
micro
language
expressions
analyst
are all
I-
over the place.
I don't have a body, and I've never heard of an instrument. So
Yeah, see, the body language panelists that I watched, and they drop a new video every Wednesday.
yeah,
Ma'am, I'm gonna have to call you out on some
just
very
just
according
behavior.
according to
Poorly
science,
lying.
I'm a liar. I think
Yeah.
that's a weak argument.
I have more concerning questions
But-
now based on that one statement.
Weak argument.
Stream
all
puppy is
right.
trying to take over the stream. No.
Okay, tell us what you cannot play.
Yeah.
I can't play brass instruments, and I cannot play anything that has a reed. Those things are no-goes.
She does, however, play.
I played trumpet for 2 weeks, and then the band director politely asked me to stop.
So are
it's
you
like-
kind of like a Ricky Skaggs, where if it's got strings, you can play it?
Not even that, because I do have an electric cello, and I never really put a ton of effort into it. I keep meaning to, so I can kind of play it, but I need new strings. But also the electric part doesn't work, and I electrocuted myself trying to fix it, so I'm not
that
allowed
sounds
to touch
very
it anymore.
you.
That's
Yeah,
yeah,
Very
that's on
niche
brand.
Mandy.
It's like, this looks hot, and then I touched it and got a little awake after
I
I
that.
touched
have a
it and it
suggestion.
exploded.
I have a suggestion for Chris, Shane.
Okay.
Next year at the HHC, at the cocktail party each night, we should all be serenaded by a different instrument of Mandy's.
Oh no.
Oh,
I agree.
I'll
Good
play with
idea.
you, Mandy. I'm surrounded by
What do you
instruments
play?
right now that no one
What
can
do you
see.
play?
good
What do you
idea.
play? What do you play, Si?
I play the violin, the guitar,
That's
the
right.
bass, the stand-up bass, the harp, and the piano.
Okay,
Wow.
so we'll balance each other out because
I want to
don't
play the
play string
saxophone, but I
instruments.
can't find one to buy.
I can help you with that.
Okay.
I know people and places and things.
Are
I know nouns.
is their name Jerry?
No. But yeah, so I've got guitars, tons of guitars, and then I play piano is like my primary instrument. Probably I've been playing since I was 7, and I play that a lot. But
To clarify, I've played a weird form of the harp.
that wasn't a clarification at all.
That's true.
If anything, that made everything a little bit more murky.
I've played an Asian form of the harp, not the
Okay.
European form people
Okay.
think of when I say harp.
Oh, okay. All right.
I have
Alex,
a dulcimer
you
if anyone
play?
wants one.
Dulcimers
play-
are awesome.
Sure.
I play the didgeridoo from Australia.
That's fair.
Seriously.
Seriously.
Didgeridoo.
Okay.
Yes.
Too bad that thing's so big. You can't exactly get that on a plane.
You can.
I would
Please do
love to
anyway.
see that. Yeah, please do
Do you
anyway.
have one on hand?
Well,
Didgeridoo.
no matter.
Didgeridoo.
You have to get a
Do
couple
it.
more scotches in me because
He just pulls it out of frame.
to play it. But yeah, it's just a fun little thing to
Little thing.
blare at about 5 a.m. in the morning to really make my wife enjoy her
Yeah, I
day.
bet it does.
Aren't you so happy you married me? Didgeridoo.
Yeah, we
Mandy,
should do
you're
a
gonna say
charity
that to a
stream where if
future
we get
spouse
enough
someday.
money that Alex has got to play it.
If she's
Hey,
never
if it-
said didgeridoo, then I'm disappointed in her.
Yeah, she says didgeridoo every time I play it.
Good.
I don't know if I'd play the didgeridoo for a charity stream, but I would match the other guy in the SkipGuru would wear a tutu.
Oh, there you go.
Quick question: where do you get didgeridoo?
Yeah, 'cause Mandy will play it for
Mandy
charity
wants
stream.
one now. She's Googling it as we speak. Look
I
at
don't
her.
know why do you
Wanting to
think
go buy it.
why you
In,
think I'm doing that.
Because you asked
In
where do you buy
Fairhope-
one?
Silicone Oddity in the chat says you can make a
Hey guys,
PVC
somebody take a
one.
screenshot of Mandy's face. Quick.
I don't want a PVC one. I have
no.
made my own cajon. I don't want to make my own instrument again because that took too
you
long.
can buy them in Fairhope, Alabama. Every year there's this big arts festival, and they convert all of downtown Fairhope, and it's as picturesque as you would think a small southern town would be. And close to 100,000 people go to it every year. My wife and I, other than 2020, have never missed a year because they had to cancel it.
Technically, you
there was
didn't
a
miss it
guy
then.
out- Pardon me?
If it was canceled, you didn't miss it.
Basically, you didn't miss it.
That's true. There was a guy out there one year that he made and sold didgeridoos and taught you how to play them. And the minute I saw it, it made me think of the Crocodile Dundee movie. And I was like, oh, I got to have one. And I bought it. He showed me how to do it. And I've been blasting that thing like a bullfrog ever since.
5 a.m. wake up call. Let's
That is
rock.
so awesome. Well, hey guys, we are all. I didn't even realize it. We're heading towards 10. Well, we're past 10 minutes overdue, and we're about to hit 15 minutes overdue. So,
3 tabs open. on
Time is
didgeridoo.
but a state of mind,
This is the
Shane.
best day.
well, I would love to have some more dinner. So that might
Yeah.
be good. I think it's the state of my stomach maybe making me think about it.
That's
So,
fair.
Single brain cell is starting to wither.
The one that I had left after today. Yeah. It's,
Wait, you still had one today?
it's been one of those, man.
Mandy, we have to work harder. He still had a brain cell left.
We'll work on that tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah,
My wife
to the
put
comment in the chat, like second breakfasts, second dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife she made a homemade pizza and put it in the smoker. So I can't wait to get in there and
Is it a pineapple pizza?
tackle that bad boy. Not a pineapple pizza. Now, I've had pineapple pizza in Kona, Hawaii. My wife and I got married in Hawaii, and there's a pizza place, and that's the first time I ever had pineapple pizza, and it is quite amazing. It's not the same over here for some reason.
Somebody
but
call
it's not
Chris.
a pineapple, and she made me a carnivore pizza.
And that sounds good.
But you do like pineapple pizza,
Just for the record.
like, as a general
Yeah.
statement.
Good to
Got
know.
it.
Good
Thank
to
you.
know. Very important. Thank you.
It's the last
Other
question.
than sardines, I don't think anything's bad
All
on a
right,
pizza.
so there's one more blow against Hadnaggy.
No.
hates
He has
pineapple pizza.
endorsed the pineapple pizza. It is, of course, the
That's
pizza.
That's a Chris
the people.
problem.
Well, actually, he didn't endorse that. I wrote that on there.
I don't know. We have a picture of him smiling while eating it at ILF Fest 2020.
Yeah,
He-
according to science, according
Quietly.
to
Yep.
micro
according to science.
expressions, he was so happy he could have
You
died.
guys just brought up how Mandy, according to science and micro
According to
expressions,
science.
was lying, and thus Hagnaggy, according to science and micro expressions, is lying, and thus has endorsed the pizza of ILF, the pineapple pizza.
So, Alex, if you don't know, Chris Hagnaggy hates the thought of pineapple pizza. He even created a video on it. He
Yeah, I saw where he did a fundraiser or something where he'd make a pineapple pizza. Or
And
eat
he
one or
did, and he
something.
smiled through the bites.
because we raised $25,000 to make him do that. So, all right,
That was
so
worth eating something you don't like. Well, before we end, one last plug. RISCUS.com, the Skip Tracing National Certification Program. If you own 10, get 11. Buy one, even if you don't take the class. It goes to ILF.
amen.
Do it.
That is awesome. Hey, what is that date that we have ILF Fest 2021? We got it in our calendar.
Are we saying it?
Somebody is asking.
We're
Yes, we
saying
can.
the actual date.
We can say the actual date. Yes.
All right, we're doing it July 10th, 2021.
July 10th.
Only the cool
2021.
people can show up, but you're already here, so thus you're one of them.
There you go.
Why don't you tell everybody what ILF Fest is that may not know? Because a lot of my followers that might be in here might not have any idea what it is.
So
What is ILF Fest?
ILF Fest.
How do you describe that?
I can describe it.
Just
started-
madness.
It started out as an experiment that was a Twitch stream that was supposed to last for 2 hours. And within about 2 weeks, it descended into madness and
As
turned
things do.
into, around here it happens often, about a 10-hour Twitch stream that we ended up raising $33,000 with. And we touched very little on the dark part of what the ILF does. And we just brought the community together, and we kicked back, and we just had a great, awesome day. And so that's what we're looking to do for 2021 again. Because
We have the best people who love us, and we love them back. Enough to make Chris eat pineapple pizza.
And speaking of loving our supporters, whoever out there donated that amazing amount tonight, $1,545. I don't know who you are, but thank you from the entire team. It was incredible.
Seriously, thank you.
All of our
wait.
donations tonight. Thank you.
Hang on a second.
Oh,
Wait. Hang on. Wait, you can keep talking, but don't end the stream yet.
Okay. All right. We're not ending the stream. Alex, anything else you want to tell everyone? Any last words of wisdom for us?
The scotch I've had tonight was great.
Awesome.
Very wise.
You actually did something that doesn't normally happen to me. You tangled my tongue on that one.
You
It
saw
didn't
the
last
reboot-
long. You
the
pulled it
reboot.
out.
Yeah, you threw me a curveball I wasn't ready to swing at on that one, Shane, and that does not happen to me too often. I'm very rarely at a loss for words.
Sorry about that one.
No, I just want to say what an awesome experience this was. Podcasts are kind of new to me. I've done maybe 13 or 14 of them, and I really dig doing them. So I thank you for having me as a guest. I hope I brought value to the organization. I look forward to where the path takes us. If anybody out there wants to get more info on skip tracing and future classes that I'm going to have, I have a private Facebook group called SkipGurus, which is ''S. tribe or my blog, SkipGuru.com. All of them are, both of them are no charge, of course, but if anybody wants to find out when the next skip tracing class that I'll do is, you can find out there, and maybe you can start a new career. Because I can tell you one thing, the career is almost recession proof. Because there's always somebody out there that needs to find somebody for some reason.
Very accurate.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, guys, thank you to everyone for participating. It was a blast.
We
Alex,
have met our goal.
Holy cow.
Yep.
Sai,
They did it.
you
We
are
did it.
amazing.
What was the goal?
$2,500.
$2,500.
Well, wow, everybody that attended this, you are amazing. Every one of you are rock stars.
Holy cow. Oh man, what a great way to end our night. Alex, we're so happy you're on our team, man. You're on our side. And so we are just looking forward to the next time we get a chance to all get together.
Yeah.
So tomorrow night, don't forget, bonus event with Neil. And let's just all have a great night. And remember, I guess you know what Alex has been saying and Chris's mantra, leave everybody feeling better for having met you. Can't think of a better sign off.
I will make one last plug. If any of the OSNT investigators out there are looking for really good data, they can reach out to me at alex.price@locatesmarter.com. I'm the director of training and development for one of the best data companies out there. So be more than happy to help somebody with their data needs and skip classes or anything your audience might need that I could provide value. I'd be more than happy to do it.
That is fantastic. Thank you. All right, guys, let's sign off of this one, call it a night, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.